Hello, Next and 3D printer and folks out there that are assembling stuff. So what I've been working on, and appreciate any constructive criticism, is a kind of a blueprint or a map on how to assemble a desk. So I wanted to look at the forest through the trees. One of my frustrations I found, and it's probably with a lot of things out there, as maybe some of you have found, is that instructions that come with a lot of this stuff, there seems to be a disconnect between the people actually creating the assembly instructions and the manufacturing the components that make up the finished product. So in this case, it started out really confusing, and it would be for anyone. They have a number system that corresponds to, here is assembly number 1, and then they have numbers for the larger parts and letters for the screws, nuts, shims, washers, that type of thing. So right from the start, they messed that up from the manufacturer, and I don't know how they're shipping probably tens of thousands of these desks all over the planet and didn't catch that, through quality control or just a basic looking at your materials that you're supplying with people. And it's not only here, it's on their website. So if you have a cookie cutter approach, you should be able to at least get the part numbers A, B, and C, and D for assembly number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So right out of the gates, you're rattling people on this because they are looking for parts that match these part numbers, and it becomes confusing right from the start. The second thing is, it's really small print, even for someone with 20/15 vision. So what I do is I use my iPhone's camera to take a picture of this, and that way I can blow it up and see what they're actually saying here. And that's when I discovered, oh, this is all messed up. Where am I going with this? Well, I think in the reality distortion field, and I'm not joking on this one, when you go in to buy a car these days or a computer or everything else, and I need to update my website, it's really archaic, and now the guys that I hired to do the website work, there's a serious disconnect in what they've done. So I'm going to go back in. This is just one more thing that I had paid people for. I thought it was off my plate, and it's turned into a disaster. What if there was a configuration app, okay, that manufacturers could use, a web-based app that was easy? First, you start with the actual part number, right? And because they have several different flavors of desk, you correlate that with the picture of the finished product, the desk. And you can even tie it in with the invoice or receipt that you receive from Amazon or Temu. You got the QR code. It takes you to the page with the assembly instructions. And in this day and age, you should be able to pick the language of the assembly instructions, and the manufacturer should be able to hire people to translate it or just use AI. With that, now you're bringing in the capability, an actual photograph of the part, photograph of the screws, and maybe a little video how to, assemble section 1. And when you're done, you can click, maybe you haven't interacted with your phone. I am done with 1, move on to 2. And maybe it gives you a little gold star or something to show there's hope. It shouldn't be that hard to implement. Next Web Objects did this. We were the first guys to have dynamic spreadsheets. That's what it's called. A static web sheet means that it's static. You can't interact with it. Dynamic means you can. Above all, we want it easy to use and straightforward in understanding, right? I went overboard, and I appreciate the constructive criticism with the sound effects, but that was just my way of learning the iMovie software that Apple bundles. It's really neat. But one disconnect I found is when I am taking a video with my iPhone, I can't simply, or maybe it's something I'm doing wrong, import the video into iMovie. And maybe there needs to be a simple pop-up. Do you want to make this video iMovie compatible? Or, Windows compatible? Or, whatever your flavor of operating system, even Linux, or, maybe you've got your own operating system. I had one for a while. It was pretty neat. And it was, because the customer is helping me out. We took the front end off of Windows, and I think it was called Lightstep. It was pretty cool. So we had the next interface over the top of Windows. And when Windows would crash with the blue screen, we could just click ignore because we weren't in the workspace manager and continue working. So that tells you a lot there. So where I'm going is you have a drop-down list, checklist, okay? It could be voice commands. I am done with section 1, move on to section 2. That way you can see if you're getting stumped on stuff like I have been throughout this project. This should be easy to do. But once I figured out the parts mismatched what was on the instructions, I was off to the races on the first 4 sections. There could also be an example of this is a good way to do this step because we're dealing with very heavy items, okay? And as you can see, I'm kind of getting around on a walker here. So when I'm trying to attach this to the part that fell on the floor over there, it's equally large. That's the base stand. I've got the first section of desk done. Then we install the base stand here. And it would be nice to just have set this on the floor or set this desk height. And then you can, in a lot of cases, it's probably supposed to be a 2-person assembly project, but I am only 1 person. But it should be fairly straightforward. There's 2 screws that hold this together. They can clearly mark that on the post. This side, these screws go into this. Because I've spent like an hour sometimes just looking at the parts and how they may fit together because there's a lot of similar parts. So this whole project should have maybe taken an hour or 2, but I am doing this while trying to run a business, answer phone calls, emails, packing, everything else, people stopping by to help take packages to the post office or the airport or FedEx. Fortunately, I've closed that bottleneck thanks to Pack and Mail down the street because they accept packages from DHL, FedEx, UPS, and the post office. So if you're running a business, I suggest finding a local shop like that you can at least drop your packages off. And, if you can, help them. So what I did to help them, and I've got a good rapport with Chris and Hunter and the folks that work over there. I like to get to know the people that run the business as well. I learned that from a Dale Carnegie course that I'd recommend. It's been around since the 30s. You may have heard of How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's a sales course. They're all very good and timeless. And it's kind of fun to hear how leaders like Gandhi and Abraham Lincoln handle situations. So I've used that, for the past 30 or 40 years, and it's really made a difference. Calling people by their name, that's about the best sound they can hear. And I take that to heart seriously. I want to get to know the people, my customers. And in this day and age, there isn't a lot of personalization. I know I get frustrated because there's way too much AI now. When you call a phone number, it's like hot potato, passed around AI to AI to AI, and you can never get a real live person on the phone anymore. And that's frustrating for me, frustrating for people that need help assembling a desk. So this could be a lot better, and it should be transparent to any desks that have assembly instructions. That would be the concept. Have a web page template, open source, so we can all contribute to it. Maybe you're going through it, and there are people out there that would be happy to know they maybe get a little credit. Here's all the parts in order. You easily put them into a menu. Here's the step-by-step. And as more and more people like it and vet it and say these are great instructions, it gets bumped up. I'm just here to help people on the planet, man. I'm not trying to make it more difficult or annoy people. One thing I know is that iMovie has a bunch of fun special effects, and my video was more about me just discovering this and trying to have fun with it, and yes, I went way overboard. Kind of to invoke a response because I wanted someone to say, yeah, this sucks, because it does. And I was seriously, it has like some kind of monster voice. I could not figure out how to reverse that. And I know I'm probably not alone. So once you input something in, there should be a way to simply have a voice command. Outside of undo, I don't want that voice. Can I move to the next one? There should be, in this day and age, AI should be able to help us set up interactive web pages in a voice command. And it would be nice if we could just say, okay, what's the next step? Can you tell me? And it'll say, they can even color code the screws. Pick up the 2 red screws and 2 red washers and attach them to the red tag of this part. And then it should be just little symbols on there, arrows here, here, and here, red arrows to match. And, just a simple AI, don't over torque it, It just needs to be snug. You can always go back and check all your, make sure you don't cross thread with advice on that. I mean, I've experienced everything under the sun with this. Now, instructions go the same way with the printer. I've invested a lot of money in the Bamboo Labs printer with the ABS system, and it uses 4 different filaments, and it becomes more and more complicated. So AI should be able to interact when you are actually painting your project. It should say immediately, if you do this, this is going to add how much time. Because at the end, it does have a list of how much each action will cost you in terms of time and printing. Now, for 3D printers, I had an idea. As there are now paints out that are attuned to specific frequencies that correlate to the color. You've probably seen the automobiles with the click of a button, you can change color. That's what I'm talking about. That could be brought into 3D printing. So it would be convenient and save so much time, even with a single printer, let alone these print farms, if they could print the object out in, say, a primer color, then come back, maybe run it through a second machine that runs it through their paint program that says all these parts, and then it correlates to the color. So you can see the changes in practically real time on your screen. And it could also give you a time as to how much time it takes. Now, I realize that's not going to happen overnight. It would be kind of like a chameleon effect. And I think it would really speed up color printing. I really love the choices of the different filaments, and the implementation that Bamboo Labs is doing is really outstanding. But I'm finding it difficult to just find a step-by-step process on how to take a print. I figured out how, for example, to take a photograph and turn it into a 3D printable object here, which I know is going to be huge and people are going to love it. Let's see if I can find my example here. So, this is my results. And this is just me spending a couple hours, okay? So I wanted to take a logo like this. I was able to download it off of Wiki and then have it converted to an STL file. Trial and error, right? So this one you can see next is really fake, and it didn't catch the paint process. Now this one turned out really nice, if you can see that. That's glow in the dark. This will last. It's not going to rub off because it's actually built into my 3D print. I'm proud of this, okay? I've only been 3D printing for a couple months. My head is full of ideas. I'm going to set up, I just bought a 4-in-1. See, here I am, I stand up and my head, I become the headless spokesman. So I'm going to sit back down here because I also get tired really easily these days. I had MRSA and COVID, and I had to relearn to walk. I seriously did. I'm doing okay in that respect. My health is improving, and I appreciate the kudos. I want to be productive in society. I love to work. I love my customers. I have, I think, over 3,000, with several hundred being active. My specialty is Next Computers. I've done it over 30 years. That was Steve Jobs' other company, okay? So I've done a lot of work with Next, those customers, and now Apple. So I am going to wrap this up. I'm going to see if I can get AI. I'm going to give it prompts and see if it can generate HTML that may be able to create a template that we could use if you have products. Okay, I want you to be able to go in, add your products, part numbers, and assembly easily. That's going to be my gift. And I really want to make it an open source project. I'm all about that. So I hope you are too. You can subscribe to me or not subscribe. I can take constructive criticism or just criticism in general. And I also appreciate kudos and thanks. I'm going to try and get around to responding to all the comments and everything else. It's fun for me, okay? I'm 61. Who else is going to hire a guy that can barely walk that has all this knowledge? Maybe some of it not good. All right, I've been a partier most of my life. My relatives all call me the hippie, but I know I have good ideas and good intentions at heart. So I want to do a bunch of these videos and kind of have fun with it too. I'm just not like a cut and paste, dry, presentation guy. And I think adding the special effects when I am a klutz in, maybe the clown noise or something, I won't go overboard on it. And you can tell me if I am, because, I'm learning how to edit. So it's not going to be annoying for people. I want it to be kind of a fun experience. Nobody gets it right the first time out of the gates. Well, there are some of you that are just, miraculous. And kudos to you, gurus. But there's a lot of people like me that think they know it all, but have no clue on some stuff. I'm good in some areas, crappy in others. So we try and find a balance in life, right? And I want to help me find that balance and pass it along. Be kind to people, all right? We're in kind of a weird space here in the U.S. I think the future is going to be bright. As far as the political landscape, it would be nice, and I've always thought this, for them to find a common ground in things, okay? When we elect our political representatives, the idea or the intent is to agree to disagree on some things and agree on others, but put it to an honest vote, not this down political party lines. The people that we have in Washington should represent what the people that voted for them have made a statement. You can't please all the people all the time, okay? Whew. So that being said, let's get off the politics and the bandwagon. We're sapped. We're drained. We've had enough of it over 2 years, in my opinion. They should limit it to 6 months in the future. And that's it. Because we're all, and I don't like the way that they're pitting each other against us. And that's what I like about TikTok or YouTube. It's a chance for us to express how we feel about things directly and strip away all those layers. We're not tied into what the media is constantly saying. We want to have a voice. And they shouldn't limit that voice and ban it. I may start making TikTok videos. I got approved for a TikTok shop. I can sell merchandise now on YouTube thanks to you all, subscribers watching. And I will in the future. My problem is I get too many irons in the fire. I'm only one guy. But as I say, I am going to try to figure out ways to make our lives easier. And above all, I want to make the website easy to shop on. And I still don't have that. And I've invested quite a bit of time and energy. And they stripped away all of the front end that I'd paid for, which is frustrating. I paid for that. That should stay in place. It wasn't excellent by any means, but it was a start. So I find I do better when I get back in there and work with the team, not trying to override them. Want to work with them and just have a working product that's easy to use for people. You've got a billion different choices on the web, to shop. And the blackholeinc.com makes it difficult. I also have an eBay store, Computer Powwow. That's my eBay store. So that being said, I've got a ton of products I'd like to easily list as well. So if this template could be used for simply listing items on eBay, where you could just take a picture of your item and then it's got like the canned approach, and then you just say, AI, write this. AI, what photos should I use? So forth. And it looks at your photo roll, grabs the photos that you're pointing at, and then creates text based on searching the web, other auctions of what you're actually trying to sell. So it makes an optimized sales page. But I like to put my personality on that as well, and so contribute to it. Don't just there's nothing more annoying than letting AI completely take over your web pages and news stories. And the AI narration, the full AI created movies, we're on to it. It's tiring. Enough said. What's the length of this? 24 minutes. That's fine. Hey, I appreciate your time today. I hope I'm not wasting it. So let's see what I can do. This isn't going to happen overnight, but I would invite you to be kind to people. And if you have advice or can help me in any way make this happen for the world, great. That's what we're about. Peace out. Have a good day. And it's Tuesday, man. Thanksgiving. Looking forward. I'm going to go visit my mom, and we're going to have prime rib. Have a good day on Thursday.